alternate to the other side. I mean, you probably know people, and maybe you yourself find yourself saying sometimes, like, it is what it is. And really, nobody has the power to make you happy or sad. It's our choice, how we choose to respond to a situation. We can always say, I'm not going to allow that extenuating circumstance that's environmentally outside of my own inner heart space and head space to bring me down. I choose happiness in this moment. You know, but there's always that part of us that's like wants to get annoyed about what something's said or cut that ego, you know, deprive it of its life force, you know. I really believe in a nice euthanasia kind of death for the ego, which is simply starving it through inattention. You know, the ego wants to be fed, you know, the pain body. Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body craves conflict because that's how it gets its sense of life. That's how the ego gets its sense of life. He said something very illuminating one time along these lines. He said, some people just wake up in the morning and they start looking for things to be offended about. I'm sure you all know those. You maybe have neighbors, co-workers, people that you know. Well, again, you know, it's compassion towards everybody. Everybody's, you know, working through their own process. We're all in this together. We're all evolving together, and we all rise as one. So ultimately we have to leave judgment out of it, but in a, you know, understanding of how, you know, the machinations of the ego really works. This could be very illuminating, you know, when you consider within, you know, your own self, like, you know, maybe there was a time in your life where you got a jolt, a sense of life, you know, that very, you know, I forget the philosophical term for the sense of life. There's also a French word for it. Anybody remember? Joie de vivre or something, or vital élan or something like that. But everybody, you know, craves a sense of life, and many people seek it in different ways. But the ego wants to feel a sense of life through conflict because it gives it a jolt, a charge. There's drama, there's action. Again, that's a whole other category. People who are addicted to drama. You know, almost like if they can begin to get too much peace and quietness in their life, they can't deal with it. So the TV's got to go on. They got to get on the phone, start talking dirt about somebody else, and get into a big, like, you know, how we'll feel better about ourselves because these people don't have it together. And oh my God, look at the neighbor's yard. I feel bad for them. You know, all that kind of stuff. And like just to detach from it all and find your sense of life within the pure path of liberation and fulfillment, of detachment and letting go. You know, I'm not defined by what I'm against. I can define myself, and every act, every word we say is an act of self-definition. So that's why it's really important to kind of like reclaim your center and to possess your mind and heart and to choose for yourself what you will think about, how you will think about it, what you will listen to, what you will look at, because you are shaping yourself. You've been given this huge opportunity. You can write your own ticket in this life. That's what the universe has designed for you. You're not at the mercy of forces beyond your control, forces of fate where you have no say in your destiny. We are here to evolve ourselves consciously, and there's no ceiling. We can take it as high and as far as we want to, but we have to be clear in our mind and our intent. Everything must be done with intent. Ideally, I like to say with sacred intent, because that brings an idea of spirituality for the greater good, not just for me and my ego, because I might want a big house and a big boat and a nice car and have lots of money for spending and go party out in the town every weekend and just be a big shot or whatever. But that's all about me. So that's not a sacred intent. A sacred intent, you know, is one that wants for everybody else what you want for yourself. I want to be happy, so how do I get happy? I make other people happy. I want success, so how do I become successful? By helping other people become successful. And it's that kind of reciprocation that really brings us into our true sense of life. We understand that the universe is actually reciprocal in nature. It reciprocates. It gives back to us what we give. You know, and anybody who's still running around in the ego delusion of like scarcity mentality, thinking there's not enough to go around and just like trying to get enough for me and my own, creates like this cravenly spirit, you know, this fear-based existence, and you can never be happy. Never be happy until you start giving it all away. All the great teachers taught, give it all away. Jesus said, sell everything you have. This is his advice to the rich young man. Sell everything that you have, give it away to the poor, and come and follow me. You know, Buddha, all the great teachers, let go of material possessions. That may not be your particular calling, but there's ways that you can practice that in smaller ways, you know, like letting go and detachment, right?
Yeah. Can't take it with you.
Can't take it with you. That's right. We come into this world naked, we leave naked, and the only thing that we take with us is the character that we have created for ourselves. And that is actually what evolves us through our incarnational journeys. Because the universe is so kind and benevolent, it'll give us a million times to get it right with like no judgment. There's only one judge, and that's your own conscience. That's why people have a full life review, upon death, or if you've had a near-death experience, or if you read about people who have had, saw my whole life go before me. That is a life review. It's something that's hyper-dimensional because it's outside of linear time. Because you think, how can somebody have a full life review like in those 3 seconds before the oncoming car takes it all away? And yet, there's a miraculous way in which it does happen because it's our consciousness at that higher level that's outside of three-dimensional space-time. It's hyper-dimensional. Okay, and so that's all that we can take with us is the definitions that we have made for ourselves. I will be this. I want to be that. I aspire to be this. And you can think as broadly of yourself as you wish to. Your biggest wish is all the better for you, So we have to kind of like unlearn what's untrue, all the negative programming that has taught us to think of ourselves as lowly and mean creatures, born in sin, condemned by God before you even had a moral, choice to make. All these kind of teachings. They come in many different forms from all sorts of authorities, whether they're parental, from your school, from your religion, from your work, all these expectations to perform and be something other than who you really are. So you have to kind of like, my brother said the funniest thing one time. He was telling me, he was like giving me a pep talk. He's like, Dave, you've got to protect your mojo like it's your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. He said it to me just like that, and I was just like, it dropped my jaw. I'm like, I can't believe my brother Danny just said, you've got to protect your mojo like it's your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. So something that's so precious to you, something that you will fight for and hold dear, like protect your mojo, because everybody else wants to suck your energy, make you conform to be something that you other than what you are. But then you're left without enough energy to self-actualize along those evolutionary pathways that you've determined for yourself, and not just for yourself, but from the inspiration that comes down. Because this all has to be an admixture of grace as well. We can't open up our third eye. We can't pry it open automatically. There's a part that we have to do, but there's a part of it that's grace, which essentially means God's assistance. For our own liberation, again, we can't, just, by works, make it happen. We have to do the work, but grace is an element. And of course, the beauty of it is that as soon as we begin to do the work, the grace comes to assist, because the universe is reciprocal. The universe sees us doing the work, and the universe rushes to our defense. I think it was Goethe, one of my favorite quotes, who basically says, think boldly and take big risks, because the universe rushes to assist those individuals who have taken that big leap of faith. You're not going to get that support, when you're in a state of timidity. I don't know if I should do that. It's when you finally say, you know what? I'm going for what I want. I don't care. Come hell or high water, I'm just going to do it. It's my soul mission, and, I'm taking the plunge. That's when you catch God's eye and all the higher dimensional beings, the ascended masters, avatars, angels, whoosh, coming to support your mission. You maybe even know people, you look at their life, they're like, wow, so many doors open for that person. Maybe they went from being, struggling to like a millionaire in like 2 years or something. Well, what was that person doing right? What, about that person? How were they connecting? How were they thinking of themselves? How were they choosing to define themselves, right? Okay, boy, that was a big rap session. Let's at least get this one stretch in here. Arms parallel to the legs. Let's raise the hands skyward. Let's push up and breathe in. Exhale.